everybody. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to Newsday. I'm Vimbai Mutiniri Ekweyong, looking forward to the next few hours, bringing you all of the top stories from around Nigeria and, of course, around the world. We begin our conversation today here in Nigeria as the federal government says it has launched investigations into the violence that raged in the last 1 week of the nationwide protest to identify and bring to justice all those responsible. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, gave the assurance on Wednesday while briefing members of the diplomatic community at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abuja. The government, however, reiterated Nigeria's stance against foreign interference in its domestic affairs and highlighted the importance of cordial international relationships. Well, Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale now joins us to discuss the federal government's probe, its vow to bring criminals to justice, and the need to observe the rule of law in the process. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale, and welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Yes, always great to be in conversation with you. Another one-on-one that we get to tackle today. But, nevertheless, more serious issues. Your initial thoughts on this announcement that the investigations will commence?
I think it is a logical conclusion of the tension we have been through over the last 1 week. It's a logical conclusion. But you see, if you compare the reaction here now with what happened in Britain, you will say we are a bit slow. Because in Britain, they have already convicted some of the rioters there. And the Prime Minister was firm and said he called them thugs, like I said yesterday. And you think Britain is more democratic than Nigeria, even though they are running a parliamentary democracy and a constitutional monarchy. But you see, we have bent, or rather I would say the government has bent backwards so much to accommodate dissent. That is a plus. That is a plus. And you see, I saw the scene of the service chiefs talking to the press the other day, and I was impressed. I don't think that has ever happened in any West African country. Because those people, those security bosses, if there is going to be a coup, those are the people who will do it. I think Nigeria or the government should send that tape to the nations where we have coups now. And you know them. You get Mali, and they are our neighbors. Mali, Niger, all that. You see, the protest is a logical, legal, democratic process. It is like a publication, you see, of emotion, catharsis, political catharsis. You get me? People are hungry, and they took to the streets. It is allowed in our constitution, in our democracy. And government has handled it well. Otherwise, it will have gotten out of hand, like it happened in Bangladesh. You get me? And you know what fascinating, interesting to me about the United Nations Human Rights boss who commented on Bangladesh was that in spite of the anarchy, he was still commending them that they should have a smooth transition. You get me? To democratic rule. People rioted, burnt vehicles, government vehicles and things like that, and drove their prime minister out. Although the woman had been there for 15 years, was dictatorial. But that was anarchy. The United Nations, in the claim of promoting human rights, should not be encouraging anarchy. That almost happened in Nigeria. But luckily, we nipped it in the bud. And I'm happy about that. Let's leave it at that.
All right. I love that in the beginning of your analysis, you referred to the situation in UK and how the riots are being handled, yeah, and those thugs who are now being convicted and so forth. My question to you, because you made your comparison was based off of, shall I say, measurement of democracy. Yes. And you said that you would think that they would be more democratic than us. But one of the main measures of democracy is the ability to uphold the rule of law. Now, do you think that our sluggishness in dealing with these thugs and hoodlums who disrupted a peaceful process, is our sluggishness a reflection of, some sort of, slow process that we engage in with regards to effecting the rule of law in Nigeria?
Britain is an older democracy. And don't forget, it was our colonial master, even though the system they practice now is different from us. It's parliamentary democracy. So it was faster for the man to take action. Our own is presidential system, separation of powers. You get me? So it doesn't mean that they are a better democracy. Because like I always say here, context matters. Context matters. Culture too matters. But you see, our own arrangement, our own reaction, or government reaction is more of tolerance. See, in Britain, the establishment was shocked because they don't see people attacking. They are not used to people attacking police. But the government was defending police. Whereas in our own situation here now, we remember answers and police brutality. People have not recovered from that. The reputation of police is only being repaired now by the President Inspector General. So the way he handled things, people say people have died. He said he did not give people a live bullet. You get me? And he corrected so many things because he was given the opportunity by the president, all of them. And you could see the way they handled it. They are ready. Get me? They should send video of that press conference. Again, I say that to the coup plotters in the 3 West African states where you have military rule. It is a lesson in how to handle crisis in a democracy in West Africa. So we are blazing a trail now. It's a bit like that.
Okay, former presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar had felt that alongside with these investigations that are happening into the criminal elements of the protesters, that some investigations should also be made with regards to some security agents and what he felt was heavy-handedness from the security agents. I know you're commending the press briefing by the security agents the other day, but do you think that there's room for us to also do some investigation into some instances? I know the military are already investigating the issue of the 16-year-old boy who was killed in crossfire, but there are other videos of what seemed to be excessive force. Should we have a parallel probe as well into the security agents?
I have no objection on that. But then, be careful with disinformation and misinformation and the menace of technology to fabricate and create things and cause confusion. You saw the Russian connection. They said they have arrested some Polish citizens waving Russian flags on Nigerian soil. Who the hell do they think they are? So, if there are petitions, and I can bet there will not be shortage of petitions, because our human rights, civil society group are very active. So it's for the security forces to listen to them, debunk those they want to debunk, and investigate what they want to investigate. So far, they have been level-headed, in spite of all the potent threat that this protest posed to our political stability. They have stemmed it in the tide. Yes.
The latest accusation is coming from the NLC, who are accusing that their headquarters were raided last night by police. Some statements are saying DSS, some statements are saying police. Still waiting for an official position from the NLC. But, your thoughts on this, shall I say, I don't want to use the word culture again because we've abused that word. Yeah. But this is in connection with the protests. Yeah. This is one way to go about it. Is this how we're going to go about it? Because we know that traditionally this is how things are done. In the cover of the night, 1 or 2 people might be picked up for interrogation and so forth. How do we ensure that things can be done during broad daylight and we can all be a part of this process? Because
clarification. Let the security people seek clarification, or let people seek clarification from the security forces. Look at the allegation that the Inspector General debunked. They said they saw some policemen in black uniform in some states arresting people or doing some anti-democratic things. And the Inspector General said no, that his people were attired in camouflage dress like he was wearing and red band. So that is the job of the security forces. And so far, I say it again, they have been very, very level-headed. Did you see the police beating up people in England? You didn't watch the video? All these white, fat boys throwing stones, they beat them up, rode horses at them. Get me? Did you watch Bangladesh? You saw that crowd? That's anarchy. That's anarchy. No stable, no leader worth his salt will countenance that. Because I will define government again. Government is any government that can use force to maintain its rule within the given territorial area. Get me? Democratic rules aside, if people get violent, that is politics by other means. Get me? Then the military people have to put them in order by whatever means.
Mr. Sobowale, there's a danger of setting a very, I'll use the word dangerous precedent, which is that protest will now become synonymous with riot or with other criminal activities. How do we separate this? Because in this instance, it seems some protesters are also at risk at being prosecuted as criminals, whereas they just happened to be there while they were being peaceful. What would you advise for us to separate the good elements from the bad elements? Because we seem to be struggling with that at the moment.
Prosecution. You get me?
But
prosecution to create deterrence. Yes, that's the rule of law. Prosecution to create deterrence. You see, the Arise correspondent and that news talk of the military chiefs asked the question that those who are arrested, get me, when are they going to be prosecuted? The law says 24 hours they should be taken to court, and the IG says right now some people are going on trial. Do you get me? In their barracks and so on, that there are magistrates there trying them. Get me? And that's why I said the British system was faster, and that they have already started convicting. Whereas our own, they are still prosecuting. Prosecution should be diligent. Diligent prosecution. So I think we are even interpreting the rule of law to the letter. That can be an asset, can be a liability at the same time. But what is important is that we must keep our political system stable, safe and secure for all of us.
And I know we've reached the end of our conversation, but very quickly, just in one sentence before we go, there's still some NSAS protesters who are still in detention, waiting conviction so many years later.
No, prosecution.
Waiting prosecution, sorry. So many years later. What timeline would you give the government to round this, just in one sentence so we can wrap up the interview?
I would say, the mills of justice grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. Diligent prosecution.
So no timeline?
No matter how long it takes.
Okay.
Justice is blind. It must be allowed to take its course.
Okay.
So?
All right. Mr. Dayo Sobowale, it's always a pleasure being in conversation. Like I said, when it's two of us, it's like we're on a date. I love it. Thank you so much for your time today.